Hello, everybody. How are you today, tonight, Friday night, the last day of the week on spring break for the kids? So the weekend and then back to school they go. How are you guys doing? I see Just Legs, uh, Blue Moon of Kentucky, Baby Got Back, P. Dot. Am I saying that right? P. Dot, I don't know. Mom of Two, Chaotic Beauty and Crime, Country Girl, Who Knows? Gina M, Sandy Says, How are you doing, Sandy Says? Mama's Baby Girl, 19 Thumper 92. Just Legs, Jimbo, you need to strike Jamie's channel for copyright. He played part of your live today on his channel. Yes, his live stream has been taken down. I don't know if YouTube done it or if Jamie did it. But it's gone. And I did also I just filed a copyright strike on him using my content of my wrestling video. Because he did not commentate. He just said something snarky in the title of his video, and his generic ass held a phone up to it and recorded it, all shaky, and played the content like from my other YouTube channel, my original YouTube channel with just my name. And, he stole it. And he didn't give me any credit for it. And I filed a copyright strike on him tonight for it. And anybody else who does it, if anybody else does it, please let me know. I'm going to file a copyright strike on them too. They have no rights to play that. They're not commentating on it. They're trying to make fun. And Jamie Berryhill doesn't have the gonads to step in a ring with anybody, whether it's fake or not. I gave my body to wrestling. That's why I'm crippled. Hey, Viking, how are you, buddy? Yeah, I'm just gonna do all I can to take down his channel, take down his monetization. Like if I have to play by the rules, he has to play by the rules. You just can't be a redneck and jump on YouTube and run around doing whatever you want to do. And that goes for others. They do it, I'm going to do the same thing. I don't care who it is. If you want my permission, ask me for it. Yeah, mama, baby girl, she dirty deletes everything real quick. I was sent a video, actually sent a message saying, hey, check out her video, that little boy that's talking, rap. And it does sound like rap. At the beginning of her video says, oh shit, I didn't know you were online today. I'm sorry. It does sound like him. Might not be, but it could be. Who knows? We're going to wait for some people to come in. We've already got more than we had last night. So we're going to have a few more people come in, and we're going to watch the trial. Let me go ahead and dial that up while we're waiting here. And I'm going to share some things with you guys. Let me pull up my playlist that I've got. I don't even know how to find that thing. I'm so terrible so far at YouTube. I don't know right there, playlist. Voila. So, there we go. There's that one. Let me find where we were at last night and try to get down there. I believe we're at Coroner Bianchi, and we'll start right
were there, and firefighters were there.
All right, the defense. Let me go ahead and put up the closed captioning for you guys. I'm going to share this screen. I'm sorry I missed some chat there. I'm sorry. Let me go back and look. See. But yeah, we're going to go over this trial. We're going to have fun with it. We're going to thank you, mom of two, and I've got a bunch more I'm going to upload too. I'm going to upload a bunch more. To my channel. And if I want to show my kids off, I mean, my kids are my greatest accomplishment in life. More than a national championship as a coach, more than state championship, more than our conference championship. My greatest accomplishment in life are my children and the way they have turned out. Every one of them, superhuman beings. So much can go bad in this world, and people. And I sheltered them a lot early on in life, and I'm glad I did. Um, yeah, that's. I'm gonna put those up, and I'm gonna make those videos available for people under 18, um, for everybody to see. Um, hopefully there won't be any stupid comments that I have to go in and delete, but I will absolutely delete them and block people from the channel if I need to. I blocked a bunch from the channel, so that may be the reason why the numbers went down slightly a little bit. That's one of my players messaging me right now. Tomorrow night we're going to have family night. Evening Spunky B21. Yeah, this is going to tickle. That's right. That's so funny. Oh, she's not that little anymore. And I watched that video and I just broke down in tears. My wife said, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Molly, he's just bigger than this now. And I can't take it." But yeah, these people know that I care more about my family than anything on the face of the earth, and that's why they use that and try to attack me and do what they do best. See comment above, Jimbo. Let me look. Your comment, 616, or the one right above yours? Chan's not chains. Might have missed it. 616. Until they're teenagers. Oh goodness. Let me look back and see 616. Let's see. Let's see. Goodness gracious. How far back is that booger? Huh. Almost home, so I'll be available full time just a few. Is that the one? Okay. You be careful and be safe. Yeah, be real careful and get home safely. We'll be online for a little while now. We're gonna. Yeah, if they're so concerned about big kids being online, there are plenty of family channels to occupy their time. But you know what? Like the lady in particular with the 3 numbers at the end of her channel, like she's had her kids on her live stream several times. It was unplanned, but they walk in the room and with her smoking, whatever she smokes and doing whatever she does, vaping whatever she vapes, high as a kite, rolling out of her chair. And they walk in the room several times. Like, my kids walk in here to ask daddy a question. Daddy's not stoned out of his mind. I can answer their question and send them on their way. Yeah, they've been on their channel. She dirty deletes everything. That's the way they roll. Oh, Rap, you want to ask me a question about the trial? No, you can't come up. You can put it right in the comments there. You can put it right in the comments, because your little porn bomb, I just finished editing it out so I can leave up the video. It didn't work. But you can ask me anything you want to ask, about Shelby Shell's trial. I wasn't on trial. You know that, right? Shelby Shell was on trial. I'm getting ready to, I'm sure he's going to talk. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Shelby tonight too. Put a 1 in the chat if you'd like for me to read Shelby's. Now, this is just his Harlan County charges. Put a 1 in the chat if you'd like me to read off Shelby Lee Shell's criminal record, just from Harlan. Now, Rap, you don't understand anything. Oh, let's go over this stuff then. All right. Now, this is long, so pay attention. I'm sorry it's so long, and I'm going to look up every few seconds and try to. Rap did. Yeah, he porn bombed me. He thought he was so cool. A 12-year-old kid, Rap, porn bombing somebody. Okay, so August 11, 2001, Shelby Lee Shell, alcohol intoxication, no biggie. Disorderly conduct, no biggie. Drug paraphernalia, resisting arrest, violence maybe. August 20th, 2001, 9 days later. I guess he got out of jail and wasn't too cool about it, right? I don't have it, Rap. Why don't you read it for me? Domestic assault when causing injury with a deadly weapon. Whoa! February 2002. February 2nd, 2002. So 02. Theft by unlawful taking. Lots of people to get charged with that, right? 02. Theft by unlawful taking. Over $300. Criminal mischief, first degree. I don't have it because I don't care about the trial. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense, Ziggy's Water. Makes a lot of sense. Can you say anything coherent? Terroristic threatening from this man who doesn't do any wrong. Receiving stolen property under $300. So he stole something for over $300 and he received property under $300. So let's move forward from February up to June 21st, 2002. Mods, you guys can take care of these idiots if you want. I'm going to try to focus on reading these charges of this career criminal who ended his career in crime with a murder. And then I'm going to read you something from when he pled guilty. You might be very interested in. But June 21st, 2002, robbery, first degree. While committing the theft, uses or threatens use of physical force. Not Shelby. Not poor Shelby. You know, they actually used the words poor Shelby the other night. Oh, burglary, first degree, armed with a deadly weapon. Burglary, third degree. Burglary, third degree. Criminal mischief, first degree. Okay. So let's go forward 3 months. I'm sure he was in jail those 3 months. And then he went to court. So on 9/20/2002, circuit contempt of court. Just can't behave, can you, old Shelby? Okay, so he must have got a pretty good sentence out of all that stuff. May 31st, 2006, terroristic threatening, third degree. 2 charges, actually, of terroristic threatening, third degree. He didn't set no fire, Rap. What are you talking about? Were you there? Hey, Rap, send me the transcript and I'll read it. How about that? How about that, big buddy? And I'll read it, all of it. I won't skip over parts where Shelby looks guilty of anything. Or when I tell him, Shelby, I'm not going to lie for you. You forget about that? Okay. May 1st. Oh, I'm sorry. We skipped one. January 16th, 2007. Theft by unlawful taking. So he's a thief because he's already got like a bunch of theft charges. Makes sense that he robbed Ronnie King right before he murdered him. All right. May 1st, 2007. And here's some good ones. Assault, 4th degree, domestic violence. Fleeing or evading police, 1st degree. Resisting arrest, menacing. Disorderly conduct, escape, 3rd degree. Send it to me, Rap. I'll promise you I'll read it. Send it to me. I'll read it. Like, I'm calling you a liar because you won't email it to me. Coach Jimbo C at gmail.com. You send it to me. I'll read it. Honey buttons. All right. Little boy. 9/8/2007. Persistent felony offender, 2nd degree. Menacing, disorderly conduct, resisting, escape, assault, domestic violence with injury, fleeing or evading of police. Man, he's good at that. 11/10/2008. Now he's in and out of prison, right? Contempt of court, libel, slander, resisting to an order, fugitive from another state. And I'm going to get that charge for you. I think somebody sent it to me the other day, his complete sheet. And it's when he was robbing elderly people, tying them up, and taking money from them in South Carolina. Meals on Wheels. He's a real good fella. 11/10/08. Riot, 1st degree. Persistent felony offender, 2nd degree. And here we go, boys. Here comes the good one. Here we goes. I got it. Let me see. Let me see if you emailed it to me. Hang on. Let me check my email. Let's see. Nope. Don't have nothing from you there, Rappy. So quit lying, homeboy. All right. So February 25th, 2013. Murder. Robbery, 1st degree. Arson, 1st degree. Kidnapping an adult. Tampering with physical evidence. Burglary, 1st degree. Possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. Parole violation. And here comes that persistent felony offender again. You know, in Kentucky, it's 3 strikes and you're out, right? Okie dokie. Well, there's his rap sheet from Kentucky. Now, South Carolina, he's got some charges too. We're going to have to look those up. Is Not Today not live? How can Rap afford to be over here? I thought he was over there role playing with those Stolen Valor people. Why don't you go steal some valor with them, Rappy? If you want me to read it, send it. I'll read it. Like, I don't know how else to tell you that I will read it if you send it. Other than that, screw off, old buddy. All right, let me share this story with you. Share screen. Okay. Here's a good one. Here's a good one for you guys. Let me see if I can make this full screen so you guys can see it all. Okay. Well, we'll have to scroll down, I guess, so you can. All right. Shell takes 20-year plea deal in killing a former Everett's mayor. An Everett's man finally took a plea deal today, March 10th, 2020, in regard to the murder of former Everett's mayor Ronnie King in 2013. 36-year-old Shelby Lee Shell was in Harlan Circuit Court for final sentencing in the murder case and a separate hostage situation on March 8th, 2014 at the Harlan County Detention Center. Shell took a 20-year plea deal on the murder charge. Did you hear that, Rappy Boy? Took a 20-year plea deal on the murder charge. And the kidnapping charge of 2 deputies at the jail were amended to misdemeanors. While the incident at the detention center did not result in Shell getting out of the facility, he still held 2 deputies hostage during that incident. At 29, Shell was accused of killing King and setting his home on fire in February of 2013. King's body was found in his burning house. After a forensic examination, it was found he had died of a single gunshot wound to the head. Shell had been charged with murder, robbery, first-degree burglary, first-degree arson, first-degree tampering with physical evidence, and was lodged in the Harlan County Detention Center under a $1 million cash bond and a $10,000 cash bond. In March of 2019, after a hearing was moved to Bell County Circuit Court, Harlan County Circuit Court Judge Kent Hendrickson declared the murder case a mistrial when the jury came back with a 6-6 count. Now I'm going to get back over here where I can see the chat, and I'm sorry if I've missed anything. If I did, please let me know. Looks like we got a bunch of idiots. Hang on a second. Okay, back. My son looking for his uniform. We play in the morning. So I'm going to jump over here in a minute into YouTube and watch. That way I don't see all the trolls, because my mods will do a bang-up job of getting rid of them. I know they will. They're awesome. Best on the YouTube streets. And I appreciate every one of them, everything they do for me. And I appreciate all you guys being here in support. You jump in StreamYard here for a minute. Okay, so we're getting ready to start covering the trial. And we will, like I said, I'm not going to address these idiots anymore. They're just, it is what it is. They're going to keep on trolling on. And, I know the truth. God knows the truth. Shelby knows the truth. And for them to believe a convicted murderer who is confessed to murder, he confessed to me twice with the exact same story. Then he stood in front of the judge and told the judge, I killed Ronnie King. So, however you want to slice it, the man is a convicted murderer. Now, we're going to have our opinions formed here at the end of this trial as to whether he acted alone. We'll see. I've flipped back and forth on that. Originally, I thought he did. Then I saw the defense, their side of things, and I thought he didn't. Hello, X. How are you? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to watch all the evidence with you here on the stand, and we'll figure it out. Like it's still going to be our opinion, and it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change Shelby. Shelby's not getting out of prison. He serves out in 2039, but you've seen his history. He did not take the stand. He actually, instead of taking the stand, he did a more foolish thing and gave a jailhouse interview to the TV station after he'd been Mirandized. So they played that in court as if he took the stand. So, and he told a couple different stories that none of them added up. So we're going to look at it. Charles Xavier, I seen some screenshots. I was looking at the screen records was of somebody, talking trash about me, but some of the things you were saying in there were pretty derogatory towards me. I'm kind of disappointed in you, buddy. I don't know who you are for real, but I know you're from Harlan, and I'm really disappointed in the way you talked about me. But that's neither here nor there. You got your own opinion. You can say what you want to say. We're going to watch the trial now. Put a heart up in the chat if you're ready to watch the trial. Coroner Bianchi. Thank you, Stingray. Yes, he is a very violent criminal. Very violent, Gina M. There, we got some hearts. Let's watch the trial together, guys. That's what we came here for tonight. Let me pull this up. Can you guys see that? Pretty good. I'm going to mute myself and start it. Looks pretty big on the screen there. So, okay.
Going to have a few questions.
My name is Will Seidelman. I represent Mr. Shell. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. If I'm not talking loud enough, I got a throat thing. Just tell me to speak up. And if I talk too fast, just look at me and tell me to slow down.
Yes, sir.
So far, we've just got basically testimony of you arriving to the scene. And you talked about a crime scene log.
Yes, sir.
How many eventual names were on that crime scene log?
I don't recall, sir. I really don't.
Okay. My understanding is that every person that went into the crime scene would be on that log, right?
Yes, sir. The officer in charge of that, that log would be the one that would be making a notation, be his responsibility to turn it in with a supplement on what he did.
And if I understand you correctly, you got the call at 10:54, right? Is that what I wrote down?
State police got the call at 10:54.
And what time approximately did you show up to that scene?
Trevor Hoggum and Hensley arrived at 11:48. I arrived, according to my note here, I arrived at 11:56 hours.
11:56.
Yes.
And again, if I understood you correctly, once you showed up to the scene, it kind of became your investigation. Is that right?
Yes.
So you became the person in charge.
I was in charge of the investigation.
Okay.
I'm not in charge of anything else other than that, sir.
Obviously, there was a fire there. By the time you got there, was the fire already out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think you testified that EMS workers were there and firefighters were there. And then it's a small town, so neighbors and family members were also there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I know there was a long lead up to kind of where we're going in the future, but you knew pretty much instantly that this was a murder investigation, right? And
Yes.
an arson.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for now. Thanks.
Can you redirect at this time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Cornett, you may step down. You're not released yet. You're subject to recall. Have a seat. All right. I'm up ready with this next witness.
Next witness, Mr. Philip Bianchi. Your Honor, we're used to the witness coming from that way, and they're used to them coming this way. We prefer this way. We prefer this way if that will work. Mr. Bianchi.
Come on up, Mr. Bianchi.
Witness stands over there.
Mr. Bianchi, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Have a seat. Please speak loudly and clearly so everyone can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Boggs.
Mr. Bianchi, would you introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the grand jury and tell them who you are and what you do?
Yes, I'm Philip Bianchi. I'm the coroner of Harlan County, Kentucky. Also a licensed funeral director and embalmer. I've served as coroner since 1993.
And so since 1993,
Yes, sir.
you've investigated and been a coroner in several deaths. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And in fact, we'll get to it. Do you sign any paperwork or certificates or anything of that sort?
I do. As coroner, authorize the postmortem examination or autopsy of people who die of unnatural circumstances, and also sign the death certificates of people who die outside of the hospital within the county.
And will I ask you about that? Do you take photos as well of the scenes when you're called to be a coroner?
Yes, I do. I take photographs of the scene, of the body, things that pertain to what I have to investigate.
And then after you collect the body, and particularly in a case where it is appears to be a homicide and not, what do you do with the body then?
Typically, we will place the body in a body bag and fill out different forms that have to accompany the body. The body is then sent to Frankfurt to the medical examiner's office for examination there.
And then what do you rely upon from the medical examiner after she has looked at the body, or he looked at the body? Did they give you a report?
They do. They will issue a preliminary report, which is their initial findings. Then usually it's a month or two following the autopsy procedure, we'll receive a final report from the medical examiner where they outline all of their findings and their opinion as far as to the cause of death.
Cause of death.
Yes, sir.
Now, were you called to a residence on February 18, 2013 in Everett, Kentucky?
I was.
And could you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury when and how that happened?
It was approximately 11:30 a.m. On February the 18th, 2013. I was notified by, I think, the Kentucky State Police post in Harlan that there had been a fire at Everett, Kentucky, and there had been a fatality at the fire. They found a dead human body as a result of the fire. So I proceeded to that scene.
Approximately how long did it take you to get to the scene after you received the call? You say at 11:30.
Yeah, I received the call at 11:30, and I arrived at the scene at 11:48 a.m.
So then when you got there, did you begin to take photos?
I did. I took some photographs of the outside of the residence from different perspectives and just items around the outside of the house and also leading into the house.
Were you familiar with this address of 148 Kelly Street?
Yes, I am.
And how were you familiar with it?
I actually grew up just down the street from the residence itself. I knew the gentleman who lived there and his family members, and it's close to the funeral home that I work for.
So the funeral home the Everett's funeral home is in the vicinity there.
That's correct, yes.
And that's where you grew up.
Yes, that's where I grew up.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness
Yes, sir.
with these photos, which counsel has seen. Now, let's see, we need assistance with this camera.
Mhm.
And, Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
I think it's plugged into
The TV.
the TV. And, Your Honor, we would ask, for the benefit of the family, if the screen be turned for the jury to see,
Yeah, they rolled it over.
or close to them, and so that, of course, if, that's good for me. Can the jury see? Can you all see? Turn it on. And maybe if the family doesn't want to see or shouldn't, or does not want to see the photo, maybe you could switch sides.
Right here, so it looks like a power cord, maybe that's not, I don't know if that's supposed to go into this. Now we gotta get some whips.
Sometimes have to do what's
There you go.
Okay. They've seen them, no objection. These photos is collected.
All right, the photos that are going to be shown, or published, one or two, will be collectively introduced as Commerce Exhibit 3 without objection.
There we go.
That better?
That's what we're gonna do, switch order.
How's that? Now I decide where to stand.
You're all right.
I might stand here. How's that? Did you take that photo, Mr. Bianchi?
Yes, that's one of the photographs that I took.
And we've moved to have these introduced, so we're just going to, and leave them in that order. And after you, if you'll just turn them over, we can go through them pretty quickly.
And they have been introduced without objection as Commerce Exhibit 3.
Thank you. So it'd be collective
Collective.
3. There's 20-some photos from this witness. So again, now you took the photo and that describes the victim's home. Is that correct?
That's correct.
The home of who? And
Ronnie King.
Ronnie King. And you took that somewhere that morning immediately.
Yes, as I arrived at the scene, I hadn't even, I was still on the roadway, the street that goes in front of the residence. I took that photograph.
And at that time, there was this tape up.
Yeah, barricade, yeah, the barrier tape was in place at the time when I arrived at the scene.
Could you show us, publish another photo? Now, so does that depict, what does that photo depict?
This, again, I was standing at the edge of the street in front of the residence, and I just sort of did sort of turned around, is photographing the fire apparatus and fire personnel to document.
And down the way in this photo, can you see what this vehicle is?
There was a state police vehicle and an ambulance.
And what's directly, just so we get the lay of the land, there across from the ambulance and the state police vehicle?
That's the Everett's Funeral Home.
So this is the Everett's Funeral
Building,
Home.
yes,
So
sir.
when you said you were familiar with this area
Yeah,
and you grew up there,
yes, that's correct.
so these are some of the folks who are outside of the crime scene area. They're not, at this point in time, they're not in the house, are they?
Correct. They're out in the road or the street there in front of the
Was
residence.
fire out when you got there?
Yes, it was.
Could you smell any fire or anything?
There, I mean, you could have, there was an odor of burnt objects.
And the next photo. What does that depict?
This photograph is, I had stepped into the yard of the residence and took a picture of this side of the house, of the residence. It showed a ladder extending up to the second floor, and I think the window was broken in that particular.
And what did you understand from that?
My
Did you take that
understanding,
photo?
I was informed that the fire department had placed the ladder and broke the window after their arrival.
So the fire department had, and that's why the screen's out here, the fire department had tried to, they had gone, tried to gain access to the house there. Is that what you're
Correct. That was what I was informed.
saying? Next photo, please. What, I think in terms of,
There we go.
and what did this photo, why did you take that?
This was the corner of a room that we had entered. We made entry into the residence. It showed, in addition to some soot and smoke deposition on the walls, it also showed melting of the clock that was on the wall.
That's like a plastic
That
round
yeah,
face clock,
that's correct.
okay? And this outline around it, that on the dark part, is that what you're describing as soot and smoke?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell from the photograph, but there's like a light film of soot and smoke that was adhered to the wall and ceiling of the residence.
And so the next. Now, where was this photo taken?
This was again in the residence of Mr. King, and it was a piano that was, I think the kitchen and the dining and living areas was just one large room. It was all one room together. So you can see the kitchen cabinets, cabinetry in one part of the room, but there was a piano setting next to the dining table. And again, it showed a lot of soot, smoke deposition on the walls and furnishings.
In relation, looking at this photo, where would the body be when you found it?
In relation to this photograph, the body was actually on the other end of the house in a bedroom, different room, or an office room.
Next photo, please. So what does this photo depict?
This photo depicts a couch that was in, again, the large room, kitchen, dining, and living area was one open room. This couch was more toward the end of the home where the body was located, and it had sustained, appeared to have sustained damage from the fire.
And in relation to the body, where was the body from this photo?
It was just beyond where the photograph.
And you can point on your finger.
Yeah, okay.
On the
It was
photo.
just beyond. You can see there's a bedroom here. That bedroom is where the window broken out of the home where the ladder was at in the previous photograph. Another room in this direction was where the body was located. So it wasn't in this room, but it was in another room.
Next photo, please. Now, this is still in the large room,
It is. Mhm.
and what were you depicting in this photo?
I was in this room, I was standing with my back toward the kitchen dining area and facing the living area of the residence. There's a state police officer in the door, the front doorway of the home.
You could point out on the photo where you would see
Yes.
the body, where you would see the body.
Okay, the door here is, there's a state police officer standing in this doorway. That is the room where the body was located. The body of Mr. King was located.
Now, that wasn't a bedroom, was it?
It was not a bedroom, no.
Well, I think you may have some photos of that room, but where the
Thank
body
you,
was found was
Cindy.
not in a bedroom.
Correct. There was a bedroom on this side. You can see the window, and again, that window I'm pointing at was the window that was broken out of the residence. This room was adjacent to it. It may have been set up to be a bedroom, but there wasn't a bed or any kind of sleeping.
And so where is the street and the front porch?
The front porch is here, where this officer is standing, goes to the front porch. And beyond that is the street where I first arrived.
Okay, I think we're getting the lay of the land there.
Okay.
So, the next photo, please. What did this photo depict?
This photo, let's see if I can kind of get this. Again, I'm standing with my back to the kitchen area, facing the entrance to the room where the body was at. And this section of the floor was actually burned through. It was all the way. You could look in and see the basement of the home. So there was charred areas around it, but there was a section there that was actually burned. The pillow that was adjacent to the body, not the one that was beneath the head. And this is.
I want to stop right there for just a second. Thank you very much, Cindy, for that super chat. And I want to tell you guys, this pillow right here is the pillow that was put up next to Ronnie King's head, and a bullet fired through it. You can see the bullet hole right there. He's taking his pencil over or whatever he's doing there. But there's we just skipped probably, I don't know, a minute or two out of that, where Mr. King's body was laying in that room, and that's the reason why it was skipped. It's just for one, he's not wearing clothes, and for two, it's completely disrespectful to his family. Shelby's put them through enough. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start this back, but I just wanted to stop it and say that's the reason why there was maybe a skip or something. You may have noticed it, but we're gonna continue, and there's more pictures of him coming up that get skipped over. So.
A defect in the outer cover of the pillow into the fibrous internal parts of the pillow, consistent with a firearm.
Could you go back?
This photograph is the edge. This is the edge of the door to the safe. This is the inside of the safe. So the door had been swung open, and it identifies it. There's some writing here that's Underwriter Laboratory listed, and it also says gun safe. I don't know if that's legible.
Were there any guns in it?
There was, the cabinet was empty. The safe was empty. Nothing. had a bed and some dressers and things, but more suited for a bedroom.
Another photo, please. What did this photo depict? And where was it in location to the body and the rooms you described?
This photograph was taken, this was back in the living room area, and it's a table, like maybe a coffee table, size table, and it had a photo resting on it. It had some looked like the little coin wrappers that you see when you bundle coins together. There were several of those there.
Coin wrappers?
Yes, sir.
Were there any coins there?
I didn't see any coins right off, right in the vicinity. There was some sort of a briefcase or attaché case here. I'm not sure what the contents were, and just some other items, ink pen, a cup, and maybe some cigarette papers or something there.
Was that in the room that the body was found?
No, that was in the living room area.
Living room area.
Yes, sir.
Why did you take that photo?
I was just taking it to document the heat damage that was caused to some items and how some items were just kind of spread out and spread around.
Anything else?
As for this picture, no, sir. There's nothing else that I see.
Other than the empty coin wrap?
Yes. Right. There was some blood stain on this pillow. And then this defect in the pillow here had charring around the edges, like probably a firearm had been shot through it.
Those are the photos.
That's it.
Again, identified move.
Like I said earlier, those are identified collectively. I counted 28 altogether as, I may be off one or two, as almost three.
How long were you at the scene, Mr. Bianchi?
My arrival at the scene was at 11:48 a.m. and I departed the scene at 5:27 p.m. So close to 6 hours, 5.5 to 6 hours.
And how long was the body there that time as well?
The body was there. The body wasn't moved until close to the time that I departed the scene. We basically left everything as it was until each person who had a responsibility to investigate was able to be there. We're in no hurry to move anything. We wanted to make sure that everything was documented properly before we left the scene.
So you testified earlier that you collected the body, you transported it to Frankfurt to the medical examiner's office.
I transported it from the scene, and another person transported it on to Frankfurt. Yes.
And at some point in time after that, you received an approach. You received a report back from the medical examiner.
Yes.
Who was the medical examiner?
The medical examiner that performed the autopsy on Mr. King was Dr. Kristen Roth, R-O-L-F.
Dr. Roth, some days later gave you a report of her examination.
Correct.
And then what do you do with that information?
I use the information from the medical examiner's report to complete the certificate of death.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
And what was this, does the certificate of death for Ronnie King state?
It states that the cause of death was a brain injury due to a gunshot wound of the head.
Were there any contributing causes?
She had listed as contributing factors as asphyxia and thermal injuries.
Now, does that death certificate have the time of death or anything like that on it?
There is a place on the death certificate that the person certifying the death is to list either the actual or presumed time of death. And it's a common practice for coroners in the state of Kentucky to list the time that the person was pronounced dead, which is the time either a physician or if they come to the emergency room, the physician will pronounce the death once they determine the person is deceased, or for the coroner or other official, when they arrive at the scene and see the person, we document that time as the time pronounced dead.
So when it's a coroner who's pronouncing death, that time of death is based upon the fact that when in Kentucky, when you get there,
Basically, that's the time that we
you don't try to come up with any other time. It's basically when I get there in Kentucky, when I get there and it's the coroner pronouncing it, it's the date, it's the time that you're there.
Correct.
So what was the time of death here for Mr.
On Mr. King, the time that's listed on the death certificate, it's listed as pronounced at 11:50 a.m.
On what day?
on February the 18th, 2013.
So you make no call as to how long the body had been dead.
Correct.
In your experience as a coroner in collecting bodies, what would be the range of time?
Typically, what we do is if we can determine when an individual was last known to be alive, we take that time and create a window which it goes from the time they were last known to be alive to the time they were found deceased. And we can look at different different signs to determine if the death may have occurred closer to the time they were last seen or closer to the time they were found by characteristics of rigor mortis, the stiffening of the body, or the blood settling to lower parts of the body once the heart stops beating. Those are some of the things you can look at. There are some environmental factors, the temperature of the body, but if they're inside a home and they're covered with a blanket or whatever, that it's variable. A lot of variables.
There's been a fire.
And yeah, in case of a fire, you've got exposure to the heat, which can accelerate some of the other signs that you typically would look for to help determine the time interval from the death. And in this case, where he had been exposed to the heat, even the blood that was present on the floor was dried, but of course the exposure to the heat could have done that. So it'd be hard to even guess to a time of death, actual time of death.
That's all the questions I have, this witness, Your Honor. There may be some cross. Oh, death certificate. Introduce that as exhibit. Almost hold it.
Death certificate. Is there any objection to the death certificate being introduced?
No, Your Honor. No.
All right, the death certificate will be identified and introduced as Commonwealth's Exhibit 4.
Can I go now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you're the coroner, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So Mr. Lee said earlier, sometimes I have to ask questions that have pretty obvious answers. So that's just part of it. But you took all of those pictures that we saw today, right?
I did, yes, sir.
Did you take those with a camera?
I did.
Was it like a handheld camera?
It was a Canon 5D Mark II digital single lens reflex camera.
Was that your camera?
It was, yes, sir.
Okay. I have in my notes that you arrived at 11:48 a.m. I just have a few questions about those pictures. You said earlier, I think, we wanted to make sure everything was documented. So I guess my question is, the we is you who took the pictures.
Mhm.
Did you take those pictures on your own, or were you directed to take them?
No, sir. I since I have served as coroner, I typically take my own photographs, and that's based on the fact that it's difficult to get photographs from the state police. So I learned early on that if I need to document something, I needed to do it myself. So that's been my practice throughout my career.
But you're not a police officer.
In Kentucky, I'm a bonded peace officer, I guess they call it, but not police as in Kentucky State Police. No, not.
And you're not a trained investigator.
I'm elected coroner. I've fulfilled the required training elements of that office. Yes, sir.
Great. So each one of those pictures was taken with a purpose, right?
Pretty much. I mean, some of the pictures I may have taken just to document the area of where the body was at, outside of the house. I mean, they were taken as part of my investigation as coroner.
Okay. And Mr. Boggs touched on it, but I want to make sure, I guess as coroner, nobody can be pronounced legally deceased until you get there, right? Unless they're in a hospital.
There are different scenarios in the state of Kentucky where a person can be declared dead. One is by a physician. Another is in case of a hospice patient who may die at home.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't necessarily involve the coroner's office. A lot of people think if you die outside of the hospital, it's automatically a coroner's case, but that's not necessarily the case.
But it's not your job to determine exactly when someone died.
It's not really something that we are trained to do. And there's so many variables in signs of death and the time interval between the person dying and them being found. There's lots of things that can influence that. So again, it's been my practice. The formulation that the medical examiner's office recommends us to place on the death certificate, I usually follow that. It's hard for us to determine an exact time of death. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you mentioned that you were the owner of the Everett's Funeral Home.
It's a family business, yes, sir.
I know we looked at one picture to kind of get a scene, but if you stand in the parking lot of the funeral home, you can actually see Mr. King's house, can
You can, yes.
you? And that Everett Funeral Home does have security footage?
To my knowledge, they do.
Okay. Any other questions? I think that's it. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Okay, is there any redirect?
No, sir. This witness may be excused.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
excused.
Do you have anything in the room over there?
No.
Your Honor, we'd request a break at this time.
Yes, I was thinking about that. I suppose you all would like to eat lunch. I see a lot of heads nodding, bobbing up and down. So if you hang around with me long, you'll never eat lunch. I just don't think you would do it.
Notice that I asked for lunch.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Boggs, and I'm sure everyone here appreciates that immensely. So let's do that. Let's break for lunch. Let's see, it's 20 to 1 now. let's, I'd like to get started. Let's get started back at 2. So that if you all can be back, please be back at 2. Now you're admonished as usual not to discuss this among yourselves or with anyone else. The evidence isn't in yet. You'll only discuss it among yourselves once it's all in and you're deliberating. If anyone approaches you and wants to discuss it with you, please do not, and report that back to me. All right. So we will be in recess until 2 o'clock. All rise in the jury. You may-
If anybody sees you, just say I'm a jury.
Yes, those badges will draw people to you.
If they come to you, just say I'm a
Okay.
jury. Oh, you weren't, right?
Oh.
And when they come to you, say I'm a jury. You know what, Chair?
And leave your pads in the chair. Thank you. Yes. All right.
Okay, we'll break on this bench conference as they come back from court, and then let's talk about a few things. I had some questions I saw I wanted to answer, and I don't have all the answers. I can only tell you what I know and my opinion. So let's see. Somebody asked me a question that caught my eye, and I don't. Let me find that thing. Kerry Lawson. After he sustained the gunshot wound, did Shelby say he's still trying to fight him off? No. Oh, another no caller ID. Reckon they're bored over there on the other side tonight? We'll just answer it and let it ring. And just let them hear me talk. They like to hear me talk. I'm like Sling Blade. No, Shelby, if you listen to his confession tape, he says, I told you, you stupid son of a bitch. And he puts the gun to his head and pow, that was his exact words. End of story. End of life. He's a cold-blooded murderer, and he admitted it. It's just, I'm glad we're listening to all this and seeing all this. But yeah, it's they aren't good listeners though. Oh, Kemper's 101. That might be his man crush. I don't think that's a actual troll. I think that's somebody making fun of Kemper, so they can stay. As long as I don't care who it is, as long as they're being respectful, let them stay. But let's let me go over here and see in the YouTube chat where out of StreamYard, so I don't see a bunch of stuff. Cindy, I went through all his videos today and reported all of them. Oh, you talking about Bunny Hill? Yeah, I hope the bullying stops. It's extreme, but even with it, God bless them and let them do what they got to do. They're trying to deflect and free a killer. It's sad. So the brain injury was due to the gunshot wound. So therefore, I don't see cold-blooded. You don't see that was a cold-blooded murder? Really? Cold-blooded is just going up and shooting someone in the head. In this case, that's not what happened. Just your opinion. So you don't think this was a cold-blooded murder? Wow. I think this is 100% cold-blooded murder. Like how much more cold-blooded can you get? Let's say you had 10 people helping him, Carrie. That don't make it no less cold-blooded, does it? He took the man's life for a jar of pennies. That's cold-blooded. He put duct tape around his nose and his mouth. Took his oxygen away. He couldn't breathe. That's cold-blooded. I don't care how you look at it. Like, I disagree with you there. I don't know. And I respect your opinion, but I don't agree with that. Like, yeah. How much more cold-blooded do you need? You're right. Lack of oxygen can cause more brain injury. Oh my gosh. That blows me away that somebody says this is not cold-blooded murder. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were good buddies and they got in an argument and he shot him. And, you know, he didn't really mean to kick him in the face and say, "I told you, you stupid son of a bitch," and then shoot him. And maybe it wasn't cold blood. Maybe you're right. It makes no sense to me. That blows me away that statement was made. Hey, Ziggy. Mama C just came in from going out with her friend on her birthday. I can hear the dogs going crazy. Yeah, the thing is, like, and I know what's being said on the other side as far as messages to Shelby and leading him to say things. I mean, I reckon they've been taken down, but have you seen the amount of money that was given to Shelby? Why do that? Like, no, I didn't see your question, Mama Steph. Let me look back, see if I can find it. What's your definition of cold blood? Is that the one, Mama Steph? Yeah, let's see if there is a definition of what does cold-blooded murder mean. Let's see. I mean, that's probably opinion too, because cold-blooded murder without emotion or feeling, dispassionate, cruel, a cold-blooded murder. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there was any passion. I don't think there was any compassion or sorry about this, but I just have to kill you. Shelby has shown zero remorse. So that's about as cold-blooded as it gets. Oh, good question, Just Legs. Is there a chance that Shelby was caught on camera from the funeral home coming to the house and how he got there? There is video of a person on the tracks. I'll have to look and see, but and we'll all see the video. We'll all see the picture of the person. It's a skinny person, and they're by themselves. There's not 2, there's not 3, there's not 4, there's not 10, there's not a bunch of people on the porch saying, "Hey, it's Dixon." There's one person. You can't tell who it is. All you can tell is that they're extremely skinny. Shelby is extremely skinny. So is Ernie. I don't know Kevin Dixon. He may be skinny. I don't know, honestly. I don't think he is. Look at his Oh, that's nice. Maybe do we get rated by Ziggy or bad people? I don't know. Hopefully it's a Ziggy raid. We love the Ziggy raids. We love the Ziggy raids. Yeah, it was cold blooded. It was definitely cold blooded. Cold blooded is as it could get. That video should give you a closer time of death to Ronnie King. Yeah, and Mike Cornett talks about the video, the time that's timestamp on the video. It's hours off from when he actually checked the video at the thing. So the timestamp on when we actually get to watch the video, the timestamp is incorrect. So you guys ready to watch some more of this trial? Let me see what's coming up right quick. Let me see if I can see the playlist. I can't, I don't think, without pulling it off. So let's go ahead and watch some of the trial and see what's next. You guys throw up some hearts if you're ready for some trial. Hakuna Matata. Oh, you accident to time Kemper 101 out or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, please hit that like button. Like, we got a bunch of people in here. Let's get back to the trial.
So far, that's not even evidence.
I didn't ask if this was an evidence. I asked if he knew that Ernie texted Shelby.
Well, you're
And that's
reading,
fine, and I was
you're
getting to
reading,
the
and
next
you're
question.
gleaning that from something that's not an evidence.
It is an evidence, technically. It is on
Technically.
the drive that Mr. Rogers contributed to evidence as he was combined.
Has it been stipulated in yet? Is it in?
The record.
It is not in the
The
record.
entire report is part of that flash drive and is in the record.
We didn't put the flash drive in. We
I
said
thought
we
it
were
was
going
exhibit
to.
11.
Yes, no, it's not. Yesterday, we said we were going to print it out and have it for closing arguments, is what we said. I said, well, I will
We
have
weren't
no
going to print
objection.
out the whole 1,800 pages,
Closing
but the
arguments.
actual disc was
And we said,
limited
you can
evidence.
use this for closing arguments. That's what we said.
I thought we admitted the
He-
disc into
No,
evidence.
we don't have that, the disc. He took it back. Remember, I said it's got demonstrative evidence on it. It's got other files on it. You can't put the flash drive in.
Why
And we
can't you put the
agreed
flash drive in?
that we would, I said we can print it out right then and put it in. This is
It's not what I
yesterday.
asked.
when
Why can't
I-
you put the flash drive in?
when we
Please
had-
not interrupt. Wait a minute. Quit.
Yesterday, when we had the expert actually here to talk about all this stuff, we agreed that this would be used in closing, nothing more.
Mhm.
This man has said, I don't know. When he asked specifics about it, he said, that's why I had an expert look at this, people that could tell me about it. Now he wants to keep going and reading things into the record, which will be, did you know he texted Ernie Shell? Did you know he said this? Did you know he said that? That is the equivalent of testifying, which is, you cannot do.
The very piece of paper that council has in their hand now, they had yesterday when the crime expert tested, how do you say it?
The
Electronic crimes branch was here. They had the same piece of paper that he's crossing him about. It's not something that just came up yesterday. They had that yesterday when the expert was here. They had it yesterday. If they wanted to ask him, he's the one that can testify to it.
You can
What
ask.
he's asking is whether or not Detective Cornett was aware of this information when he was talking with Shelby on the 24th.
And
He's
that's
not
asked and
asking
answered.
him what happened in the report. He's asking, were you aware? Which
Is permissible.
Did you have this, did you have the information, did you have this report when you arrested Shelby? Was the equivalent of
Yeah,
something he said?
that's what
And he's
you
already answered that.
I've
No,
already
already
asked
answered, he
questions that
didn't.
he says no to.
I didn't have it.
They can't object every time he says no.
Hey, don't argue with me. Now, if he didn't have the report, then when he questioned Shelby, and if he did, you can ask him to what extent he used it in his investigation, and did he have it when he questioned it? But don't go into details into it because right now it's not even in evidence.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know it wasn't in evidence. I thought we put the disc in evidence. That's my bad. I wasn't up here. Didn't hear it.
We've got
Huh?
the tape from yesterday. And
It was not in evidence.
I thought we had it in evidence. I thought we weren't gonna put the 1,800 pages.
Miss Karen and I stood right here and agreed to use this.
And Mr. Lee made the comment that there were other things on it that it would be on it.
nonetheless, we can refer to these reports in closing argument, right?
Yeah.
To point out the highlighted messages that we have on our
Mm.
You
report,
can in closing because we've already.
I think that was the agreement, but don't ask me specifics about it because you can ask him to what extent he relied on it during the investigation and whether he added when he questioned Shelby. That's all. But just don't go. It's not in evidence. Mhm. All right. Okay. Mm. All right. Go ahead.
So I'm just gonna finish talking about the cell report by saying that you didn't have this at all when you talked to Shelby.
No, sir, I did not.
And in your conversation with Shelby Shell, he said, look at my phone records, basically.
I don't remember that. If you mentioned it on the video, I was not present during the taping of the video. So I do not recall him telling me that on my interview. He may have. I'm not saying he didn't say it, but I don't recall that.
Thank you, 616 Love. I may take my man crush on a date. Thank you. I appreciate that for real.
There was some testimony about child support and your investigation into Shelby paying child support.
I think there was a receipt or a
You went to the
letter.
library and got a fax.
Yes. It looks like one that I have, yes.
Can I approach?
Now look at it.
We're talking about the same piece of data.
Sure.
Is that the fax confirmation that you got?
Come on up here. That was inappropriate.
Was it?
This may be
That's absolutely inappropriate at this point in time. We haven't made any decisions on whether that's admissible.
Sign it.
We've had a long conversation on the record on that earlier. and that's inappropriate.
I'll come back to that video or put it back in the right place in order.
You signed an order stating that he has an intellectual disability.
That took the death penalty off the paper. That took the death penalty off the
That's still
record.
a judicial.
That's not before the jury right now.
Right, but
Now,
it's
you know
not-
better than that. Both of you know better than that. That's enough. All right. That's
It's
it.
absolutely, it could have influenced how he questioned.
Go back to your
someone,
seat.
you know?
Oh, snap. The judge is telling them, both attorneys, to quit using Shelby's intellectual disability because all it was used for was to make sure the killer didn't get the death penalty. Other than that, they wasn't supposed to say it. But they keep saying it. The defense has slipped it in twice. They want the jury to know that poor Shelby is intellectually disabled. That way, maybe he was tricked. Yeah.
I apologize.
Juries to ignore the question about intellectual disability. All right.
And I'm out of order here.
Go
I
ahead.
missed a bunch of stuff. So let me get.
As part of your
We shouldn't be to the
investigation,
defense yet.
you obtained or you saw video footage from the Everett funeral home. Is that right?
Let me
That
stop
footage from the
and try
Everett
to get
funeral
back.
home can see Ronnie
And get
King's
some
house.
stuff
Is
in
that
order
right?
here. Let me try to put some stuff back in like chronological order because I know this is confusing. So let me try to do that. I should have named these files better. We should not be to the defense because the prosecution's not finished yet. So let me go back and let me see if I can find some prosecution videos.
Come on up here.
I'm sorry. I guess I missed all the prosecution videos after Coroner Bianchi when I you know what? I've got another way to do it. I've got the whole trial on my laptop now. We don't have to share it from YouTube, I don't think. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. Did they want to do the insanity plea? No, they did not want to do the insanity plea because insanity means guilty by reasons of insanity. They thought they were going to beat it. They thought they were going to beat the trial or beat the charge. And they had one shot at it. With all the misinformation and lies that they actually used, they had one shot at let me see if I can find that trial. Oh, no, I've got it here. Oh, there it is. They had one shot, and then the prosecution was going to be able to look up the information that they lied about and refute it. So it would have, in another trial, it wouldn't have worked out for them that way, and they knew it. They knew that. Wonder where we are.
It's different.
Let's find Bianchi.
Calls for speculation on his part. It's like she's asking him about an imaginary.
Ziggy, you ain't in there starting trouble, are you, Ziggy? What are you giving away, Ziggy? Post in there what you're giving away. Is it only for mods on your channel? Am I not eligible? I'm going to complain. I'm going to write YouTube about that. That doesn't seem fair. I should be eligible. What are you giving away?
Yes, ma'am.
About 22, 23 years ago.
Said you have to speak up now.
22 to 23 years ago, my first husband was.
Oh, we're back in the Dadburn jury selections. Yeah, that's jury selection too. Whole lot of jury selection going on. There's probably, oh my goodness, so much. It's 312, 37, 311. Maybe that's it. Let's see if that's actually.
That's correct. And we have a joint request.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna find it now. We're getting somewhere now. Mm-hmm. Giving away makeup?
So
I want some makeup. There's a bench conference.
Started going to work.
All right, you want to repeat the question?
Yes, Your Honor. So speaking to your report that you testified to.
Cigarettes and no running king, and they were at his residence.
Okay.
never going to Ronnie King's house on this.
Okay. Let's see if we can find Coroner Bianchi. To stay and get it for your wife or daughter. Yeah, I could. I could. We got so many. All right. So many bench conferences. I swear.
I'd ask to present that what you have in evidence to
Oh, here we go.
Witness to see if present that.
Let's back this up.
All right, we're back on the record this afternoon.
Okay, here's a little. I don't know if I can get that make that any bigger, or let's see. Let me see if I can hit the share screen now. See if I can share that. Share screen. Entire screen. Okay. Lord, it brought up everything in the world, didn't it? Let's see. Does that help? You guys see the trial now or no? Can you guys see the trial now when I do that? I mean, I can probably make it bigger. Is who saying the defense put on false information? Yes, the defense absolutely put on false information during the trial. 100%. Hide my porn. Yeah. Can you guys see that? Let me see. Let me go over here and see if I'm. Yeah, you can see that, can't you? All right. All right, let me play this for you. Now, I can probably talk now because I can leave it off mute because it's not. Can't full screen it. I don't see a button to full screen it. I can drag it and let's see. Yeah, I don't see any option for that. I mean, I can click on it and then drag it and pull it, but I want to be able to see the chat. And if I do that, I can't see the chat. That's for sure. Is that not big enough? Can you guys see that? Put a 1 in the chat if that's big enough. But yeah, whoever asked that, the defense lies all over the place. Like, of course they did. Lies everywhere. And some of those defense witnesses would have been brought up with perjury if they'd had a new trial. So here we go. And then it went right back down to small when I did that. This is
All
make
right,
it bigger.
back on the record this afternoon after lunch in Commonwealth versus Shelby Shell. We're still in the prosecution's case in chief, so call your next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Commonwealth calls from the Kentucky State Police, Danny Cottle.
Danny Cottle. All right. Trooper Cottle, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a seat and speak up loudly and clearly so we can all hear you. All right, Mr. Lee.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Cottle, if you could, will you introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Danny Cottle. I'm the operations lieutenant at KSP Post 10 Harlan.
All right. In the year 2013, specifically February of 2013, were you the operations lieutenant at Harlan at that point in time?
No, sir. I was a trooper assigned to Harlan.
Okay. Assigned to Harlan, though?
Yes, sir.
Post 10?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The questioning that I have for you is really limited in scope. I'm going to ask you specifically about a roadblock that you may or may not have participated in on or about the latter part of February 2013. Do you recall participating in any roadblocks around that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No, Stingray, it's not the first time I played
With
this
more
game.
specificity, I'll ask you, do you recall participating in a roadblock wherein an individual named Ernie Shell passed through?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And are you familiar with Mr. Ernie Shell?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize him by his appearance?
Yes, sir.
Did you in 2013 recognize him by his appearance?
Yes, sir.
In the latter part of February 2013, specifically between February 20th and 25th, did you participate in a roadblock where Ernie Shell passed through and you visualized him?
Yes.
Was there only one time in that time period where that occurred?
Yes, sir.
Okay. During that time, did you observe Ernie Shell as a passenger, as a driver? What did you observe?
He was the driver.
Okay. How many people were in the vehicle?
2.
Who was the other individual in the vehicle?
Shelby Shell.
Shelby Shell.
Yes, sir.
And by Shelby Shell, are you referring to the defendant here today at this table?
Yes, sir.
So Ernie Shell and Shelby Shell passed through a roadblock with the Kentucky State Police that you participated in at the end of February 2013.
Yes, sir.
Okay. At any point in time were you ever asked whether or not such an incident had occurred by colleagues of yours with the Kentucky State Police?
Yes, sir.
And who would have asked you that?
Detective Mike Corney.
Okay. Do you know in what regard, why was he asking you that information?
He asked if Ernie and Shelby came through the roadblock on that night, and I said yes. And then he went on to tell me that he had contact with Ernie and about the conversation he had with Ernie. And that was it.
Okay. And you did state that, yes, you had seen them through that roadblock.
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay. Any
Pass the
cross?
witness.
Any cross?
You didn't cite Ernie Shell that when he passed through that roadblock, correct?
No, ma'am.
And do you recall, was it on February 24th, 2013, or
I don't recall the exact date.
do you recall when you spoke with or Detective Cornett about
It's the next day, maybe, following the road check.
and did Ernie Shell ask you for protection or help at that time?
No, we were looking for impaired drivers, and he pulled up. I knew Ernie and didn't think he was what we were looking for in that regard, and just sent him on through.
But he didn't make any effort to stop you. He was happy to be waved through.
If he made any efforts, I did not pick up on it. Absolutely.
That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Release the witness.
All right. You excuse. Next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. Commonwealth recalls Mr. Michael Cornett.
Mr. Corner, you're still under oath.
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Cornett, we continue to progress through this investigation of which you were leading in 2013. And the last that we'd spoken here in front of the jury, you were informing us about Ernie Shell and him wishing to speak with you. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
All right. He has since testified here today, so I'm going to ask you some questions about 2013 when Ernie Shell spoke with you. What stuck out to you as what was occurring as he's telling you these things that he wanted to inform you of? Can you walk me through your experience with that interview?
Some of the things he was talking about, the main thing that struck me as the information he was providing was pertinent was the zip ties. At that time, I hadn't really discussed the crime scene with anybody, hadn't made any of my written reports, but through my years of investigation, you always keep something to yourself. That way, if a witness comes forward, if they have information that you've kept to yourself and not put out, that kind of adds validity to their information they're providing. I had never made any emphasis or told anyone about the zip ties that I saw at the scene. And when he had particularly mentioned the zip ties being broken, that led me to believe that he had pertinent information that may be truthful. Part of also trying to, see whether it's truthful or not is I talked to Trooper Danny Call, Lieutenant Call, to see whether or not it was truthful that he had come through the road check with his brother, Shelby, and that proved out to be true. He also brought a gentleman with him, James Collins, who had information. I took a statement from him, and they were each questioned and interviewed separately. And for the most part, everything pretty well matched up with what they were told.
Okay, so you've introduced now through your testimony an individual named James Collins, correct?
Yes.
The first time you spoke with James Collins concerning this investigation, when was that?
It was on the, I think, the 25th, shortly after I interviewed Ernie Shell.
Okay, so give me a distance in time between talking to Ernie Shell and talking to James Collins. You recall about how long this took place?
We've been on 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
10 minutes.
They both came together.
They came, where do they come to?
Came to the Kentucky State Police Post 10 in Harlan. They came together.
All right. And is it true that you had stated previously concerning Ernie Shell coming, that you had actually arrived there from your house because this was the early hours of the morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what time are we talking about here?
After midnight, around between midnight, around shortly after midnight, the interviews started taking place around 1 o'clock. So I don't have the exact time written down here. It will be on the actual cassette itself, but it's been somewhere between 1 and 2 in the morning.
Okay. So of the two, Ernie Shell and James Collins, with whom did you speak first?
Ernie Shell.
Ernie Shell. Okay. And when notified that James Collins wished to speak with you, did you at that point in time want to speak with him?
Yes, sir.
Did you do so?
I did. I took a recorded statement.
Okay. I have no further questions this time.
Cross.
I can see your questions, like half of them are cut out with the screen, so I'll stop it here between videos and we'll talk.
Mr. Cornett, you said you got there at 12, midnight on the 25th.
Yeah, that's what I think 12:06 is what I had.
Was that at post 10?
Pardon?
Was that at post 10?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you had actually been notified from, I guess, then Sheriff Marvin Lippert
Yeah, he called me at home.
at his home or at your home?
My house, called me at my house.
Okay. And that is, Sheriff Marvin Lippert at the time was the star of a show, Kentucky Justice.
I don't know if it was at the time, but he did have a show, Kentucky Justice, but I don't know what time frame the show was.
So he was on television.
I don't know if he's on TV at this time, during this time. He has been on TV, yes.
And he's subsequently, that sheriff.
Your Honor, we approach.
Yes.
I'll move on. I don't.
So the defense knew he was out of line there, but as soon as they said, Your Honor, may we approach, he said, I'll move on. Oh, God. Any questions before we move on to the next one? I've missed some, I know. Let me look back here. During the video, I was reporting Jamie for all his harassing and bullying on his community page, and Nicolina. They think it's okay, but it's not. So, yeah, we got we went over these. They've all been uploaded. We're just starting at the beginning and going through the trial together again, because they say that we have left stuff out. So we're not going to leave anything out. I don't know what in the world they're talking about, but apparently I'm a career liar. So, but we'll see how it works out for them. At least I didn't say I was in the Marine Corps and never be in the Marine Corps. This is a bench conference. 30 seconds.
To the TV questions. I'm gonna stop.
Thank you, Steve Gray.
Yeah, no more about TV shows.
Oh, no more about TV shows. That's he was trying to say that Ernie went to Marvin Libford, the sheriff of Harlan County, because he had a TV show, Kentucky Justice. And Ernie and I actually didn't go to Marvin Libford. We called Chris Brewer, and Chris Brewer, who was a sheriff deputy, told Marvin Libford, who was the sheriff. And Marvin Libford said, hey, meet me out at the Kentucky State Police Post. So that's where we met him at. That's, a fact. That's the way it worked out. That's what it was. They like I said, they just lied and threw stuff, anything they could out and see what would stick. I'm trying to look up when Kentucky Justice actually happened. The first season of it was in 2013. I wonder what date. That would be very interesting to find out. Let's see. Overview, episode guide, trailers, reviews. Oh, that's interesting. The first episode of Kentucky Justice was in December of 2013. The defense says that Ernie went to Marvin Libford because he had a TV show, Kentucky Justice, but the murder was in February of 2013. So 10 months later, after Shelby was already put in jail, Kentucky Justice came out. The defense knew that would be debunked too if there was another trial. So good job on that guilty plea, Shelby.
So Ernie Shell had spoken with Marvin Libford first, and then you all met up at Post Town. Is that how I understand it?
That's how I understand it.
And you got there, and the interview started sometime after 1 in the morning?
Yes, sir, thereabout. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I have more questions, but I'm going to ask them later so we can move on.
No, she didn't. She's fell in love with Shelby Jen Hoffa
Your Honor,
from
there's
behind
no
bars.
redirect. We would ask that him to say in some stipulations here,
Right.
he will be recalled.
All right, give me a step down, subject to recall, Mr. Bond.
Yes,
I think you guys are getting ready to see old
That's
Ern.
witness.
Your Honor, Commonwealth calls James Collins.
No, you're going to see
James
me.
Collins.
So I know this is out of order too because Ernie testified before I did. Let me back it up. Let me see if I can find Ernie's testimony because he testified before I did. Unless you guys would rather see my testimony, put a 1 up in the chat if you want me to go back in order and show Ernie's first. A 2 up in the chat if you want to see me and hear Shelby's confession. We'll play them both, but it's up to you. If you guys want to do it in chronological order, I'll back it up. A 1 in the chat is for Ernie, right? Go back and do it in order, right? Okay. All right. Let me go back and find Ernie's testimony here.
Just to take us off the record.
That's not it.
Just
May I say something?
No, they don't let you say it, Ernie. They shut him down.
all right. You want to repeat the question?
Yes, Your Honor. So speaking to your report that you testified to with Mr. Solomon,
And
Ben's conference.
Yeah, go ahead.
so I'm sorry, I asked too big of a question, and
I believe it's next. Yeah, this is a long one. This is a long testimony. This jury's coming in now. Let's get it forward a little bit.
6 days.
Detective Cornet.
Okay. So, did you
Right. Ernie's right after Detective Cornet here.
All right, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Cornet, at this point in time, you recall you have testified now about your investigation through a period in February of 2013. Now, is your investigation from the last time you were just speaking up there and you were being asked questions about Kevin Dixon and individual Jerry Mulkey, is your investigation continuing?
Yes, sir.
Has it concluded?
No, sir.
Okay. So at any point within your investigation, were you contacted about any individuals that wish to speak with you?
Yes, on February the 24th, 2013, I was provided information while I was at my residence of a witness who had possible information reference to this case. The witness being Ernie Shell.
Okay. Now, February the 24th, you said, is that right?
Yes, sir.
How many days have transpired since since you became aware of Ronnie King's death in Edwards, Harlan County, Kentucky?
Approximately 6 days.
About 6 days? Okay. So, were you provided with information to describe who Ernie Shell was?
He's the brother of a Shelby Shell.
Shelby Shell. Okay. Now, concerning this investigation, is this the first time that you have been informed of the names Ernie Shell or Shelby Lee Shell?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're told that the individual Ernie Shell wants to give you information. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you give that person an opportunity to do so?
Yes, I met with Ernie Shell at State Police Post 10 at 12:06, which is 6 minutes after midnight on February the 25th. So soon after I got the call, I went to Post and made arrangements to meet Ernie Shell at Post to get the information, see what information he had and whether or not it was pertinent to the case.
Okay. And did that interview take place?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Any cross?
So now we're going from the 18th to the 24th. And in that time, you were doing investigations regarding this murder. Part of that investigation was issuing subpoenas and trying to get records, right?
Yeah, that's part of the investigation throughout.
So you had
I can't remember
requested,
exactly during the 6-day time span which subpoenas were issued or not, but yes, that's part of the investigation. Search warrants, subpoenas, whatever. Logging in the evidence, getting autopsies, talking about a lot going on, talking to all the officers that are having to make sure they get me what they need.
that's exactly what I wanted to know. So in that time period, you had requested things like Ronnie King's bank records?
Yes, I did. At some point, I don't
And
remember the
Ronnie
exact name.
King's,
Yes, I did.
and Ronnie King's phone records?
Yes.
And you had talked to neighbors and about it,
Yes, me or one of the officers assisting me did, yes.
and either you or some other officer was talking to family members,
Yes, I've talked to a lot of family members calling me during that time.
a lot of people. And from the 18th to the 24th, your person of interest at that time was Kevin Dixon. Is that correct?
I took the necessary steps for Mr. Dixon, took the evidence from him that we deemed necessary. We still had the evidence. So yes, he was, but
Great.
I'm looking for information all along the way.
And specifically, you requested, or you sent out a subpoena to get records from a website called Topics. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it was a post, if I remember right, by a coal miner's daughter, or coal miner's wife, I'm sorry. I get that in the movie confused.
That seems about right. I'd have to look at my phone, but I believe that sounds about right. Yes, sir.
So you were not just looking in the neighborhood, but also anywhere you could find any evidence on the internet,
Yes,
right?
sir. I was listening to jailhouse phone calls. I was doing a murder investigation kind of like waving my hands. You go down this hand, this finger, you go down another one, you may have to back up and go down the same finger and get this one up. But everything muddies up the water. That's when you start getting phone calls. This is on Topics. And I've got the.
What? You mean the detective listened to jailhouse phone calls? That's funny. And he didn't arrest nobody else? Yeah.
Go down that road.
So you were looking for information about this murder on Topics, is that right?
Someone called and said there was a post on there. So I can't remember what specifically it was.
And then after you saw it, you issued a subpoena to the website and said, give me that information of who posted that, right?
I got a subpoena. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Okay, thank you.
You redirect.
Mama Steph
All right,
Topics is a
Mama
rumor
Steph
website that
recall.
would have been great for Jamie Berryhill and them to use, where they spread bullshit lies and destroy people's lives on.
I was calling what it calls Ernest Shell.
Ernest Shell.
Topics was taken down by the government because it caused so much trouble. I'm afraid YouTube is going to face the same thing someday. It's going to be taken down because people don't know how to behave.
All right, Mr. Shell, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you give in this trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, have a seat, sir, and please speak up loudly and clearly. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Shell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Shell, if you could, will you introduce yourself to the jury and to the court?
My name is Ernie Shell. I'm the defendant's brother.
It's funny, Ernie stood up
And
to
by the
say
defendant, are you
it was.
referring to Shelby Shell seated over here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm going to take you back, Mr. Shell, and try to stay on specifically a conversation that may have taken place with then Detective Michael Corner. Okay. Are you aware of Michael Corner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know him, know his face? Can you recognize him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is this Michael Corner over here in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you recall speaking to Mr. Cornett on or about February 25th, 2013?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did it come about that you were in a position to be speaking with Mr. Cornett?
Me and the defendant and I, we took a ride to Harlan, and he discussed pretty much all the actions that had taken place 4 or 5 days prior, and just with some of the actions that he had done during that, I knew that something had to be done. So.
Okay. Now, let me ask you specifically, did you and Shelby talk on the phone?
When was this? Multiple times.
Just ever? Have you ever talked on the phone
Yes,
with
sir.
Shelby, your brother?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you stated that you're related.
Yeah, Mama Steph, that's
Your brother
Ernie.
says your brother. Can you recognize him? Do you recognize his voice and things of that nature?
Yes, sir.
Okay. About this period of time, February 25th, 2013, February 24th, 2013, did you ever have a conversation with Shelby Shell on the phone wherein he was talking about Ronnie King?
When was the date?
February 25th, February 24th?
No.
Okay.
Not on that.
Did you ever have a conversation at any point on the phone where Shelby Shell was talking about Ronnie King?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was stated within that conversation?
It was about a week prior to that day, or no, it was about 2 weeks prior to that date. He would ask me if I would give him a ride to Everett's, and he kept naming this Ronnie King. And the only way I've ever heard of Ronnie King was through he was a manager or something at some apartment complex in Eastbrook. And he stated that he had worked for him before and he could make money off of him, and that was pretty much it.
Okay.
And of course, I never did do that.
Never did do what?
No, I never did take him to Ronnie King.
Did he tell you why he was wanting to go to Ronnie King?
He just said he worked for him before in the past and he could work for him and make money.
Okay. All right. Do you recall informing Detective Cornett that Shelby had called you and started speaking about the death of Ronnie King?
It was not a phone call. It was face to face.
Okay. The first time was face to face?
The first time was he had hinted on that. He said, "Did you hear about what happened to Ronnie King?" And I said, "Who?" Because that was not even a familiar name for me at that time. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, yeah, because I was actually on the computer and I was looking up topics when he was talking about it, as he was talking about it.
Yeah.
And I was seeing things that he was saying, and nobody knew exactly what had all happened, but he was filling in pretty much the gaps and being in private investigations. It was kind of clicked on. And then I asked him a question. I said, well, who's involved in this and everything? And he stated out, I've heard Kevin Dixon and another name by the name of Tim Hall, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that was about it.
Had Shelby ever talked to you about robbing Ronnie King in the past?
No.
Huh?
No.
Did you inform Detective Cornett that he had?
Not before it happened. Everything. I mean, if you ask him the actual confession when he confessed to me, he told me the whole story. But before prior events, no, he never said nothing about that. If that's what you're asking.
Okay. Are you aware whether or not the interview between you and Mr. Cornett was recorded?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was it or was it not?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go then to the first time from your statements here today. When was the first time that you said something about confessing? When was the first time that Shelby informed you of his involvement with Ronnie King's murder?
I think it was the day before, the 25th, 24th.
Okay, and how did that conversation arise?
He actually called me up on the phone. He said, I'm on my way. I think he said, I'm on my way down, and I want to have a brother's day and a family's day. And I said, that's cool. I said, that's real nice. I mean, he just had got a job. You know, he was married, and I thought everything was going good. But after I started talking with him, and he was saying he's wanting to go to Everett's and get the family, and just he had a bag of presents for them, and something in his voice just triggered him. It, you know, just instincts, and I just started realizing things, and I threw a timeline up and started putting pieces together of what I know to what happened, and you know, from the internet really, and just as he's telling me things, he was like, well, I want you to meet. He said, that file you've got, he said, you used for a mask or something. He said, I need you to bring that. And I forgot about the file. And of course, I met him at Walmart in Corbin, Kentucky. And he asked, first question he asked me, he's like, did you bring the file? I was like, no, I didn't bring the file. And he said, oh, we really need that God bless the file. And I really don't want to go to Lowe's or wherever you get one.
Shelby also says they met at
As we sat
Walmart.
in the vehicle, he pretty much explained what all happened.
Okay, so tell me what he explained, what all happened.
First thing he done, he said, I know you do hockey mask and you're related to the Friday the 13th industry and you do certain things for them. He says, I want you to know something, Holmes. He said, I'm a real killer. And then that's when he pulled the pistol out. And then at that point, I mean, I was already putting it together in my head what was going on just from prior experience. You know.
And when he told you that he was a real killer, what did you say?
I tried to laugh it off, like, no, man, you're crazy, man. No, you know, just like that. And he's like, no, I'm a real killer, Holmes, or something like that. And that's when I really knew it was serious.
Okay. Did he explain why he was a real killer? What made him a real killer?
No, he said after that was over, during this point, he said, you know, the Ronnie, he said, I'm just going to let you know something. He said, you're my brother. He said, I love you. He said, but I'm just going to tell you something. He said, I am a real killer. And I said, of course, I was trying to laugh it off again, trying to change the subject, pretty much what I was trying to do. Then he looked at me and he said, you know the Ronnie King? And I said, Ronnie King? I said, yeah. He said, the one that was killed up in Everett's and all that? He said, I did that. And then after that, he started with the story. If I needed to.
So in the story, after he told you he's killed Ronnie King, first off, let's go back to the gun. You said he had a weapon on him.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like?
It was a blue 38 Smith & Wesson without a call.
Okay. And how did you know it was a Smith & Wesson?
I could see the label on it, and I'm familiar with weapons.
Okay. Now, you had said earlier that he had brought you a file, or you had requested that you bring him a file. Is that right?
Right.
What did he use that file for?
Well, we had to go back and get the file because he insisted.
Okay.
So we went back to the house. I actually told him, I said, just go to Lowe's and get one. And that's when he says, you're never to be seen. When you're doing anything like this, you're never supposed to be around cameras or anywhere you can be seen or located or positioned. And I said, okay. And he was getting kind of like, he was getting hostile a little bit, but you know, that's the way he's always been until he gets his way, pretty much. I took him back to the house and I went in the room and it was a chainsaw file. I think it was a 12-inch file at the time. It's about like this right here, a little thin file. And I brought it out to him and he took it away from me. He pulled the weapon out. He started filing it. He started telling me the rules and the laws, the way it goes. He was telling me, he's like, you killed 5 people with one handgun. After the 5th person's killed, you have to do away with the handgun. And he was filing, and I think he may have had it marked where he was with the chambers.
Okay. So where was he placing the file in relation to the gun? What was he doing with it? If you can describe the action.
He filed both. I'm sure he filed. I think he filed the chamber. I'm not sure. I was driving at the time, and he was doing it while I was driving.
Okay. So a file, you said chainsaw file.
Yeah.
Is that made of plastic? Is it made of metal? Is it hard? What is that?
It's a tubular shaped. I don't know exactly what it's made out of, but it's tubular shaped, and it's got a little handle. It's got a little point on it, which I never used the file for it. I used the point to engrave my mask and stuff with it and make little things with it. But the part that he used was the actual. File part of it. The actual part is actually It's got the ripples and stuff on it.
Okay. How was he connecting the file to the guy? Some of these questions,
Right.
you know, they
Oh, he
may
just
seem
figured he
foolish,
just-
but I don't know anything about
He
files
was,
and
right,
guns.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What they're made out of, I don't know.
Right.
But he was just, I think he just opened the chamber and he was sitting there and he was just, going down the chamber.
So he was filing the
He was
chain.
filing the weapon, yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's move back then. You said earlier that at some point he started describing to you the killing, the murder. Did he inform you how he entered Ronnie King's house? How did he get in?
He told this story that he said there was because he kind of was skipping bits and pieces of it, and I pretty much was asking a few questions on making him stay on subject because I could put a timeline even further because I already had started. I mean, I'd already had suspicion, and as he told a story. He said Ronnie was on the phone with his mother, and he said, "Mom, Kevin's supposed to come by. Kevin or Tim or somebody's supposed to come by, and later on." And he said, pretty much, there was a knock on the door after that. He said, "Oh, Mom, it's Kevin, it's Kevin." And then he hung the phone up. And then when he said, "Who is it?" They said it was Kevin. He said it's Kevin. So that's
okay. So Shelby told you that he heard Ronnie King on the phone tell somebody. You don't know who that was, right?
His mother. He
His
said he
mother.
was on the phone with his mother. He could hear him talking.
On the phone with his mom, and he said, "Kevin's at the door."
Right.
Kevin.
Yeah, because he knocked on the door about the time after he heard that. That was his way in. That was his whole thing.
Okay.
See, when anything with Shelby Lee always the kind of person who'd tell a story and he would leave certain parts out of it, but then he would go back and he'd fill the gaps himself, and he just had to keep an open mind about everything.
All right. So he says he hears Ronnie King say, "Kevin's at the door," and then you just stated that Shelby told you that he said, when Ronnie King said, "Who is it?"
Yeah.
Shelby said, "It's Kevin."
He noted to say it was Kevin because he heard him talking to his mom that Kevin was going to be coming there. So
Gotcha.
that was his entryway.
So he got in that way by saying it was Kevin.
Yeah, he said when Ronnie came to the door and opened the door and seen his Shelby Lee, he said, "Oh man, you ain't Kevin." He said, "Oh man, I just playing with you. Hey, what can I do?" And he walked in for him and everything. He opened the door and he come on in, Shelby, And I tell the whole story. But he told it.
Yeah, let's keep it.
And
what happened after he says it's Kevin? He gets in the door and he says, what happens then?
he said, "I need to make some money." He said, "I need to make some money. Anything I can do for you? You got any work or anything I can do?" And then Ronnie said, "No." He said, "No, Shelby." He said, "You can. I ain't really got nothing at this time," or something like that. And Shelby said, "Well, can I do anything, for you?" And hand it to him. And he said that Ronnie said that, yeah. He said, "You can give me head or something for $20 or $30. I forget." And he jumps on the bed and puts his arms behind his head.
Okay. So he's gotten in the house, Shelby.
Yep.
And he's asking Ronnie for money.
Right.
And he says, "Yeah, you can do
Sexual favor.
a sexual favor for $20 for him. I'll give you $20.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what did Shelby tell you happened?
He said Ronnie jumped on the bed, put his hands behind his head, and just rested up on the pillow. And Shelby said that he looked through the room and he noticed he seen a shotgun or something in the corner. And about the time he seen that shotgun, he had his hand coming out of his pants where he had the gun. And then he said he looked back at Ronnie and he said Ronnie already had him beat to a weapon. Ronnie already had a weapon. And he said that he was shaking real bad. He's like, no, I want to sell you this weapon. I want to sell you this gun, actually. And he said, no, Shelby, something's up with this. And he said, Shelby stated that during the time he was shaking and everything that he shot and it went by. And he said, no, you don't understand. He was trying to.
I never really thought of it this way, but this explains a Smith & Wesson and a Rossi. Just saying.
Make his way toward him. So he talked him out of putting his gun down. He said once he put his weapon to the side, Shelby was close enough to hit him with the back end of the weapon or something and hit him with the elbow in it. So.
Okay, so was that it? Was it over then? You just hit him with the gun?
No. He grabs a hold of him and he tells him, he asked him, he's like, where's all your money at, and this and that. And at this time, there was a shelf or something. And he's pointing, he's like to the shelf or something. And he turns over the whole shelf in a bookcase. And he said in a bookcase, there was like a key or some other, I don't know if it was jewelry or what it was at the time, but there was something in that bookcase. And he had a bag, and he just started stuffing stuff in it. And he was trying to get him. So he said he put the gun up to him, and he asked him what the code for the safe or something was, or where the key was at. I don't know. I can't recall that.
Okay. At any point in time, did Shelby talk about restraining Ronnie King?
Yes.
What
After that
happened?
was after that, he made it look like he was just going to rob him. He kept telling him, he said, "I'm going back to jail anyways. I can't stand this. I can't live this kind of life." And he says, "I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna tie you up, and I'm just robbing you, and my life's already ruined." So I guess he coerced him into thinking that he was just gonna rob him, but he was gonna tie him up.
Okay. How did he tell you tied him up?
He said he used duct tape and zip ties.
Duct tape and zip ties. Where did he tell you duct taped him?
He set him in a chair. He set him in a chair or something, and he was duct taping, and he was trying to duct tape him. And he said that Ronnie kept moving and breaking, and he said finally he got the zip ties, and he's zip tying him. And he never really mentioned the placements of the zip ties. He just said, figuratively speaking, zip ties. And as he's taping him up, he got to where his mouth was up, and he was getting ready to start taping it. And he said Ronnie started moving and didn't want to, because he couldn't breathe, obviously. He was just going to some way like suffocate him. And he said he just started, he said his dying adrenaline was kicking in, and he was breaking stuff loose. And he said, he looked at me, he said, "Never before have I ever had anybody break loose from duct tape and 7 zip ties." That's what he said.
Shelby said that about
Shelby
Ronnie
said
King. So as Shelby's telling you that he's duct taping Ronnie King's head and mouth and coming up over his nose, Ronnie King starts to break free.
Yes, his adrenaline kicked in, and he was starting to move and break free. And Shelby said he went through the house looking for a hammer to knock his brains out with it. And he said he couldn't find the hammer, and he finally felt that pillow. And he said he tried to finish doing it, and he said he was coming up out of it. He said he put the pillow over his head, and he said Shelby had a little motto back then. I don't know if he's still true to this day, but it was everybody has the expiration date, and he's the stamper. And he had a reason for everybody to be, for why he was doing it to them. Like even members of my own family, our own family, he had reasons that he wanted to, go forward with. But anyways, he told Ronnie, he said, "You remember my son and Tabitha, they lived in your apartments and everything." He said, "Your apartment had mold or something in it, and you didn't do nothing about it. My son ended up in a hospital." And he said, "That's your reason to die." And he said he put the gun over the pillow, and he said he pressed really, really hard. And he said as he's doing it, he said, Ronnie said, "They can live there for free. They can live there for free." And he said, "They don't live there no more, motherfucker." And bam! And that's what he told me.
Okay, so bam. I mean, I think that I know what you mean by bam.
Yes.
But unfortunately, this is the court of law, and we have to be specific. What do you
He
mean
shot
by bam?
Ronnie.
Did Shelby Shell, your brother,
Shelby shot Ronnie.
tell you
Yes.
that he shot Ronnie King?
Yes.
Did he tell you that he killed Ronnie King?
Yes. And
he told you that he did that by placing a pillow over his head and then putting the pistol on and shooting him.
he didn't say whereabouts the pillow was placed though. He just said he put a pillow over there, and he put the weapon close to the pillow, and he pressed down really, really hard. He shot him.
And shot him. Then what happened? What did he tell you happened next?
He said after he shot him, he went around and making sure he didn't leave any kind of, or no, after he shot him, he said there was a big puddle of blood or something, and he went to turn around, and he slipped in the blood. And he went back out the door. When he went back to the door, he said I think he said he was walking up the tracks or something. He remembered he left his fingerprints or something on the blinds, but when he first come in, and he thought somebody had pulled up in the yard or what drove by the house or something, and he put his hands before he put gloves on or something in a way. That's what he told me. I don't know if it's significant or on it, but he said then he went back and he knew that he actually forgot what all he touched, the doorknob, the door handle, and all that. And he said he just had to burn the place.
Did he tell you how he burned it?
I can't recall exactly where he said he started at. I mean, but he did say he burnt the place. But he said before he burnt the place, he went back where Ronnie was at because he said the gunshot was still or something in his ears and it was deafening him. And he thought somebody had come in the door because it was open. When he left, he said he thought it was closed. And he got behind the wall and he said, I thought he was kind of saying he's paranoid or something like that. He's hearing things. But he said it was where the gunshot went off and it was in an enclosed area and it just deafened him. And then he says he goes back to where Ronnie was at and everything. He said he knelt down and he talked to him. That's what he said. So, and then I asked him, I said, how do you, I think I even mentioned, I said, he was deaf this time. He's like, yeah, but after I got finished with him, and then he said, that's it. He never told me no more specifics or anything about it.
Okay. Now, concerning the fire and the burning, did he tell you why he did that? Why did he do that?
He said that he had to burn the place because his fingerprints and, just to get rid of all the evidence.
So he was trying to get rid of evidence of burning Ronnie King's house. Now, did he say anything about what he had taken from Ronnie King's house to you?
He said there was jewelry. I can't remember exactly the amount of money that he had said he took. I thought it was something like $487 or something he said. But it was jewelry and some old, I think he said he had some old money or something like that.
Old rings?
Yeah.
Did you ever see any jewelry or anything that he had said he had taken from Ronnie King?
I had seen like a fragment or two of it prior or after that. I recall I'd seen what I thought was it. I can't really be sure if it was really it or not. I know that, he stated that he had the jewelry on him in a black bag.
Was the jewelry beaten?
Yes, it was crushed up and beaten at the time I seen it. The pieces I
Did he
seen.
tell you he'd done that, found it that way, or that he'd done that?
No, he done it. I think I'm not sure if there was a ring or had initials or something on it or something that you could still make out some kind of form of. It was a bigger piece of the metal thing that I recall seeing, and I knew because there's a little bitty bag, little bitty bag of it he had.
Okay.
But I never really got to sit there and observe it and look through it or nothing like that.
But he told you that's what came from Ronnie King's?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And it was beaten up jewelry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you recall telling the detective that Shelby had $60-some on him?
I don't know about $60-some. I think he stated that he had money when we went through Burger King after that.
Okay. So at this point in time, are you telling the detective this statement?
What's that?
Were you telling the detective what you're telling us now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Detective? At that point in time, as you're telling the detective what you're telling us now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Did Shelby still have these things to your knowledge?
To my knowledge, he did.
Okay. All right. Now, you're in Corbin. Let's go back to you being in Corbin with Shelby, okay?
Okay.
Did you guys ever come into Harlan together
Yes.
after that?
Yes.
And before you'd spoken to the detective?
Yes.
So we were limiting the window when this was, right?
Yes.
Right around that February 25th, 24th period?
24th.
Okay.
24th.
Okay, so tell me about coming to Harlan. What was the purpose of that?
He said it was going to be a family day. And
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there at 33:22 on this video. Let me make a note of that right quick. 33:22. Because it's starting to get late, guys. And there's about 30 more minutes on this video. And then there's couple more videos of Ernie testifying too, and then my testimony. So, Cindy, I would love to get a body language expert to watch this and maybe go over that. But, you know, I don't know if you watch Ernie much now, but he's always doing the damn hand gestures. I mean, you know, he's always doing that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It could mean something. It might not. You know, I would love to see a body language expert actually testify, or not testify, but actually tell us what they thought. Did Shelby ever say Ernie was there? No, he still doesn't say that. He still doesn't say that. You know, Shelby's changed the story a bunch of times, but he's never said Ernie was there. He said Ernie set him up, but he never says Ernie was there. He said, I set him up, but he never says I was there, which is ridiculous. But, yeah, we will go over more testimony tomorrow. And I guess, Bunny Hill, if you're watching, things have changed. I'll be at Hooters at around 6:30, and I'll be there till about 8, and then I'm coming home. We're going to do family night here, and I should be back in time if I leave there by 8. If not, I will message and let everybody know that I'll be a few minutes late, but should be good to go. Any questions on what we've seen so far that I can answer? I hope you guys are like keeping notes, writing down some stuff, what you think. Now remember, this trial took place 6 years after Shelby was arrested. So, and I want you to make one note that they keep saying that Ernie went to Marvin Lidford because Marvin Lidford had a reality show, which he did, Kentucky Justice, about being the sheriff of Harlan County. And my day tomorrow, all day tomorrow's ball games. But they tried to make it look like Ernie went to Marvin Lidford because he had that reality show. Well, in truth, the murder took place in February. The reality show didn't come out until 10 months later in December. So, you know, those don't add up. The defense was just throwing everything they could at the wall, see what stuck. And as far as I thought it was pretty interesting to hear Mike Cornett say that, you know, while suspects are in jail, he listens to their call logs. He listens to the jail recordings. So all these blockbuster transcripts they've got are already been read and heard by Mike Cornett, the lead detective. Yeah, the reality show is called Kentucky Justice. Marvin Lidford was a sheriff of Harlan County, and somebody just asked, yes, Marvin did get in trouble. He was he misappropriated funds. He bought personal vehicles with county money or something like that. Yeah, and I knew they were taped. Everybody knows they're taped. When you call, they say this call is recorded. It's not, you know, like, I mean, if you don't think you're being taped, then you just aren't paying attention. But yeah, there's those transcripts are nothing more than me trying to be nice to a man I thought was going to get the death penalty. And eventually I just blocked him. Eventually I just blocked the jail number. So, you know, there's and he couldn't call me anymore. Stan, if he shows up tomorrow, you need to stream it. If who shows up? Oh, yeah. Yeah, if he shows up, believe me, somebody will be recording. Somebody will be recording. He ain't going to show up. He's, you know, scared of paints. But, let me ask you guys to do me a favor, and I'm not specifying anybody, but if you see bullying, cyberbullying taking place, people making pictures of people that degrade them and their family, please report that to YouTube. It deserves to be reported. Couldn't you ask the behavior panel on YouTube to go over that? What behavior panel? What? Somebody tell me what this behavior panel is. I'd love to know. Is there really a behavior panel? I have to record Mama C kicking his butt if he shows up. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Crime time, grime. You pulling my chain. You making my life. You making people life in my bowl. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me so long tonight. And we've covered a bunch of stuff on the trial again. And I guess what I'll do is just play it directly from the like I did tonight from the disc. That way, we know it's in chronological order, and we'll get it all. So I'm going to leave that. I'm going to make a note of what the file number is on that in case it gets lost or something, or exited out of for some reason. So we'll have that. But yeah, just you guys take a stand, and there's a channel named the Behavior Panel. Oh, it's a channel. Well, cool. Maybe I'll reach out to them. Do they do things like that? Would they watch that and give us their opinion? You think that'd be cool? Maybe I'll reach out to them. That'd be awesome, actually. I mean, even if it's just their opinion, it'd still be pretty cool. Because we're gonna have a couple of or 2 or 3 fake juries and see what we come up with. So yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have a behavior panel check things out. But behavior panel did Candace and Don. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up tonight and watch some of it. Retired murder detective Jimbo Josh is a good friends with him. Oh, is he? I need to reach out to Josh. I haven't heard from him in a few days, so I'm gonna ask him what's up, and maybe he'll come on with him. Thank you guys. Appreciate everything. Let me get this over here so I can see what's going on in StreamYard. You guys don't forget to hit that like button on YouTube. Let me see where we're at here. Yeah, we got 99. We had a few. We should have had more. So we had a bunch in here at one time. But that's okay. Everybody don't remember to do it. I hardly ever remember to do it myself. So you guys have a good night. My name's Jimbo, and I'm coming to you live from the stand. See you guys tomorrow at 11 p.m.